Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello to everybody that's watching now, if there's anyone watching now, and for those who are watching on the pre-recorded, i.e. when the stream's finished and it's available to upload, welcome to you as well. It's been a while since I last did an art stream. Well, to put a long story short, I've basically been trying to reorganize my accommodation so that I can have a better setup and stream more clearly. For one thing, for example, I've now got an actual boom arm connected to my table, so I can get right on top of my piece. It does mean that I've got the camera in front of my face, which will be a bit distracting, but I'm going to try and work with it. But the thing is, at least I'll be able to get close enough to the picture, so hopefully I'll be able to see more clearly what I'm doing, and it won't be quite so distracting. One thing I'm going to do is I've got the other stream clip on my camera. I'm going to get the other side so I can see if I'm still live. So bear with me a second, I'll do that. Got me a second. Right. It's a bit slow on my computer. Right, we're getting some work. Okay. So channel. I'm putting this up so I know that I'm live. I mean, I know I am live, but I can't see it from. I can't quite see it from the other screen. Whereas this one's right in front of me here. Anyway, yeah, as I say, it's been a while since I've done any kind of art streams. I wanted to reset my room up so that I had a boom arm and everything else available to me, so I can stream properly for you, and for me, of course. Just be a bit temperamental, but we'll sort that in a minute. Yeah. So what I wanted to do is just to sort of ease myself back into this. Now I've got a bit of a setup. It's not perfect. I still need to do a few tweaks here and there, but at least I've got a stable setup with my boom arm ready to go and do some pieces of artwork. And one of the things I've been doing is some I've been doing a lot of redraw, so I haven't been idle in terms of doing artwork and stuff like that. Aha, right, there we are. That's what I'm looking for. And just put that on silent. There we go. So now I can see if I'm on my screen if I'm live or not. So there we go. Yay! Right. So yeah. What was I saying? Where was it going? So yeah. So I've been doing some other bits and pieces, still working on commission and doing some what do you call it? Blah, 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 some redraws, some stuff that I've been wanting to sort of draw for a while. Some of them are just from scrappy bit of paper that I've been working on. You know, like when you have a downtime, you doodle and you scribble. Some of it's been that. Other parts of it have just been redrawing something that I've done maybe for a Jazza competition or another piece there. So I'm going to start by just going through what I've been working on. I can't show all of them because I don't have the originals for everything to show you. So I'll show you what I can, and then from there we'll go forwards. So quick coffee. Lovely. Right, starting with this. This is what let me think. The top bit is not really relevant, so that's just basic work stuff. So I'm not going to show you that. But this was some bits and pieces that I did, some doodles, and I say really scrappy. Couple of cartoon characters, and for some reason I drew some kind of drag racery type car, futuristic car. Looks like a bug or a beetle or something like that. And I liked this design, so I kept this. I ripped this out the page, took this with me. Little things like this is where I kind of get inspired, and I took that away with me and took it away and started reading it. By the way, if you are watching, feel free to jump into chat. It'd be great to, answer any questions or join in chat. So feel free to do that. If you just want to watch, that's fine as well. But it'd be nice to be able to have some kind of correspondence from you guys if you want to ask questions or, just say hi, really. But there's no obligation, so that's great. So this is one of the first ones, not the first ones, but this is one of the ones I did a redraw of. And if I put this to one side, I'll show you what I've come up with. So this was the final piece that I did of it. In fact, let me move that mouse a second. That's it. So I can see the full screen. There we go. That's better. So this is the full screen. Now, obviously, I think I'm going to have to move this boom arm down a bit, but as you can see, it's much clearer. You've got more screen space, and I know where I'm going. But this was the end result of this drawing, and I got to say, I'm really pleased with how that came out. And for the most part, I think I got the perspective right. There might be some little areas where I need to work on it, but it was just a bit of fun, really. It wasn't really to be taken seriously. It's not going to be used on any dramatic art piece. But I called this one the Wasp because of this little side bit here, and you'll notice it is on this little. Sorry, let me just try and show you here. You can see, you can see on the side of the connection section, there's little lines here. So I've kind of incorporated that into the main drawing, and it kind of reminded me of those wasps, they got the yellow and the black on the body. So that's what that was for. So that was the first redraw. The second one, I say these are in no particular order. This one's not so much of a redraw as a practice. I think it might have been maybe a year and a half ago. I bought this magazine from a local store. Let me see if I can move this boom arm up just a touch, so I'm not so you can see a bit more. And part of the reason, apart from the fact it's Marvel, the other reason I bought this is it had one of those little stencils with the ellipses, but the squashed ellipses. And I thought it'd be quite useful. I haven't used it as thoroughly as I should do, as I have done, and I need to relocate it because I'm not sure where I've got it. But it's something I need to use going forward. But one of the things I've been meaning to do is to redraw, is to go through the step-by-step guide on this, just to help practice and just refine my anatomy. I feel like I've grown a lot in my anatomy, and I thought it was time to really start pushing that out a bit and go back to, doing really relearning how to construct a body. And this guy, I've never drawn him before, a guy called Red Skull, from those who know, is from Captain America. And this little magazine is like a step-by-step guide. So here's all the different steps. You've got the main line work, which this kind of thing I kind of know. This was a bit different because I'd never drawn the additional circles here before. So that's something that was a bit new. And I didn't trace anything, but I did just copy the steps on this just to get um, just to try and construct it in a way. So it's just looking at it from a different perspective, as if I'm doing it from afresh. And sometimes it's good to do that, especially if you've got an area that you're working on and you're not quite confident with, or you're not quite sure of. It's always good sometimes to go back and to re-examine what you're doing and how you can improve on it. So again, so I followed this through, and as you can see, they've grayed out all the different muscles and stuff like that, and slowly built in all the boots and everything else. And then we got into the detail. Now the detail is one of the things that always gets overwhelming, because I know in the past when I did detail, I would draw the detail as I'm seeing the detail. I'd not break it down like this. I would just literally try and fit in everything, and then it goes all skew and off center. So it's always good to do one piece at a time and slowly build upon it each and every time. And then this is the final sort of segment. So you've got your main outline of the character with all your little flows and flares and stuff like that. And one thing I didn't notice about this guy is he has a little kind of skirt thing going on down here, which I'd never noticed before, but that was kind of cool. And then we obviously got the final version with him in the Tesseract. So from that, let me bring this over. From that, this was the final result. So this is what I came up with. Now, it goes without saying that it's an exact copy of this. It's not a trace, because if you look, you can see, I mean, and even if you look at it, you can see the cloak isn't quite the same. There are differences on this to this. It's not a tracing, and obviously it's much bigger and he's a bit taller. But it's more or less a duplicate of this. There are elements that are different. There are elements that didn't quite copy for this, but it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me trying to make this to copy this exactly. I didn't want to copy this word for word. That's how I'm going to draw it. I just wanted to use the technique to help me grow and work better on my anatomy and really start to refine it. And for the most part, I'm very pleased with this. I love the face. I love the costume. It looks really good. I feel like I really captured that image quite well. Let's say it's not perfect. It's not exactly the same. But for a first attempt at drawing this guy, I thought it was quite good. The one thing I did feel is that it wasn't my drawing. I was very aware that it was somebody else's pose to start with. And to me, it felt a little flat. It didn't feel as animated. It didn't feel as powerful and as creative as I could have made it. So I did another redraw, which I can't suddenly find for some reason. 1 second. Where's that gone? I had it ready. I did have it ready. Oh, here it is. So I redrew him in my own pose, my own style, and I even did a picture, took a picture of myself standing in this pose, holding a tube of Pringles in that same manner, just so that I can get the legs and everything else right. But it's a huge difference from that to that. This feels more animated. The muscles feel more tight. It feels more fuller, more impacting, and particularly the head. I was really happy with how the head came out. The head came out brilliantly in my view. I still won't say that I've nailed anatomy. I wouldn't say I've completely got it yet, but I am so close to getting this, of making this more natural, because I want to get to a point where I can draw a pose like this or whatever pose I want and not have to spend so much time trying to fix the legs and everything else. It'd be minor changes where I was just like, I'm just slightly off. But I think this is compared to this, this is a massive, massive, massive improvement in my opinion. And this really feels solid. And I could see this in a comic, whereas I can't see this in a comic, in my opinion. That's just me personally. Because I don't think that's good enough. But this one, I say, although there might be some areas where I still need to tweak and change and get better, I feel much more inspired by this one. But I'm very, 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 very happy with this. So that was that one. The next redraw, which is what I'm going to be starting on, going to be continuing today, is this character. Let me just bear with a second, bring them all up. Is this guy. Now, if there's anybody here watching who has heard of this channel Draw with Jazza, or for that matter, tabletop time, they'll probably straight away recognize who this is. And there was a guy called, well, in fact, let me get the original image actually. That might be quite a good idea. Bear with me. Should really have thought of this before. Never mind, it's fine. So it's this guy here, Draw with Jazza. I'm not sponsored by him, so you know, and I will, once this video's over, I will put a link to his channel if you want to check him out. And he's currently moving studios apparently, so it'd be interesting to see what his new studio's like. But that's been quite cool. But Draw with Jazza, and got to meet him, so that was another nice thing. Got to meet him in person, which is really, really cool. Oh, it's 2015. Wow, I didn't think it was that far away, but there you go. Just goes to show you how long I've been watching the channel. But yeah, this guy, it was a competition called Draw in 2015 called Roguestar, and it was based off his tabletop game channel of the same name. And they had the competition was to recreate a Star Wars type poster of this character. It's not in color. I do have a color version, and it was this guy here. Don't know if you can see that. So this is 2EE. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Let me just bring it up so you can see. Make sure. So I'm watching the screen at the back so I can see. You can see it. So that's the character there. So this was a redrawing of him. And now in the actual piece, I was only ever gonna use the top bit anyway. So I wasn't focused so much on the legs, but I was only ever gonna use this part. And I feel this part is fine. For the skill level I had at the time, this was fine. But the rest of it, all the way down here, way off. Way off. And as you saw from that other piece I just showed you, you can see the difference between 2015 to now. So there has been massive improvement. And even with this one, I redrew this not too long ago on my channel to this guy. So, and although there is, again, I feel like there's an improvement between this and this, I love the head. The head really feels more solid. There's more detail going on, and it's more crafted. But there were definitely some anatomical things that I weren't happy with, particularly the arm here. I like the shape of it, this bit, but it doesn't fit on his shoulder properly, and it bugged me. So what I decided to do just recently is redraw this redrawing. And this was that. Now, you ready for this? This is the head that I've done so far. And I'm surprised I did this. I'm surprised that this came out like this. I was not expecting this head to look this way. Although it doesn't look exactly like the original concept that Jazza did, that you can still see the elements in there. The cutaway head, the eyes, the little things on the side, the mouth. So it's still 2EE, but this just feels like something that you would, I don't know, it would scare you if you saw him. It really felt quite powerful. And I was really both inspired and surprised that this came out like this. I did not expect this to come like this. And I'm going to reuse one of these two pictures for the poster design that I'm going to redraw later on. And what I'm thinking of doing on this one is, once I've lined this in and colored this in, I'm going to have the sword, this swordy thing, sort of coming across like he's holding it in front of him. A bit like the Star Wars posters where they've got the lightsabers over half of their face. So I'm going to do that. So half of it, depending on which half I like the best, which I think I like this side best, it'll be, so half of his face will be covered with that. So that's what I'm doing with that. And then this is what I was working on today. So I was redrawing the whole body. So I was taking this posture and redrawing it in a different way, but again, just refining it a little bit. So I've got some ideas how I'm going to make this, and already I've started to line in a lot of the work. So today I'm going to do a bit of this. If I have time, there's another one I'm going to do as well, but it depends on how tired I feel and how today goes. But we'll see what goes on. So that's basically that. And again, if you're watching for the first time, welcome. Do feel free to join in the chat or just simply watch. That's fine. I don't mind either way. But I hope you enjoy the process. So let's get to it. So another quick swig of my drink. I get my old faithful pencils out. All right. Okay, so this is 3B. Are we on 3B? No, I'm 2B at the minute. So 2B, 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 SB. Here's my 2B. To be or not to be? That is the question. Or where is the pencil, I should say. Right, so here's my 2B. These pencils are really good, actually. I've got these are Faber-Castell, I think, is it? Can't remember now. Can't remember which brand they are. Yeah, they're Faber-Castell. They really work well. In fact, let me just change my glasses. Although these glasses are fine, actually, no, I should be right, actually, because I can see there's enough light on here, so it should be all right. But these are really good. They're really quite solid, so they're quite nice. So that you can press down on a bit, and they're not going to break so easily as some of the other brands out there. So definitely, these are the ones for me to invest in. So here we go. Right. Let's try and get this camera up just a touch. So I want to be at YouTube to see the whole picture. Because that was a big problem before. We couldn't see the whole thing. So it's really important that you can see the whole thing this time. In fact, it's probably could do with a bit of sharpening. Leave it for now, though. One good thing that's been kind of encouraging with all these different pieces is I feel like I've been getting more creative with the costumes. In the past, when I've done a costume, I put very little detail. In my head, I'm thinking I'm putting detail, but I've been putting very little detail, not as much detail as I thought I was putting in. But definitely feel like I've been putting a lot more detail than I would normally have put in these things. Not completely happy with that hand, but I'm not going to worry too much about it for now. And at this stage, all I'm just doing, I'm still just working out where everything goes. Once I start using the graph gear, that's when I'm going to start really refining it and getting all the line work, because then that's the next step before inking it in. Now, the only problem with that process is that it tends to lead to just drawing over and over a piece you've already done, which can be quite tedious. But I think at the level I'm at, I think that it probably makes the most sense to do that anyway. But eventually, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to just go straight from pencil drawing to inking it in, or at least just do 2 levels and then ink it in, not 3. But also, I don't like wasting materials. So I want to use up these pencils first before I start doing any additional work on it. So this is the arm, the second part of the arm behind his back. There's a lot of music that's on the sci-fi one that shouldn't be there, but never mind. These are the little lines. And again, I'm trying to keep as much of the original concept as I can, but there are additional changes on it as well. So it's not going to be completely the same as Jazza's. You can see that anyway on this piece already. This is his lightsaber type thing. And this is something that isn't in his piece, which is like a little pistol element coming out of his arms as well. So it's not, so it doesn't just look like it's just a sword. There's something a bit more to it than that. Not sure if I should have two, but there you go. Okay, so I just need the leg bit before I do the next inking in. I think when I do the, not the inking in, when I do the graph gear, I'm gonna have to probably change my glasses a little bit. For this it's fine, but I will need to change them at some point. Now you might notice from time to time, as I'm doing detail, I will go silent and I won't say much, but don't take that as me ignoring anyone. And if you do ask a question and I don't respond straight away, please bear with me. If you're watching the live stream. If you're watching obviously repeat, you're not going to get a response. But if I don't respond straight away to any comments, don't worry. I will, when I see it, I will speak. But just ask you to just bear with us with those, especially when I'm in concentration mode as well. So I'm just trying to match the other side as best I can. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Hellboy, which is coming out very, very soon. That looks brilliant. I have to say, that does look pretty serious. So I'm very much looking forward to when that comes out. Tell you what, YouTube, as I said in the previous video, their music has really improved. There's just so many options now that weren't there previously. They got some really cool music now. Brilliant streaming music. Before it was like, you know, there were the odd tunes that were quite good, but it was kind of limited. But they've really gone to town with adding new themes. So there's more variety than there was before, which is brilliant. That's what we need. We need much more variety. I mean, this tune alone is pretty decent. Just makes really good streaming music. So I'm just trying to keep, although I'm using artistic license to come up with my own elements to this character, I'm still trying to keep the essence of what Jazza had in mind when he drew this, when he come up with the idea of this guy. Okay, so I think that's the initial design work done. So I think now I can go into the old graphy gear. And this thing, I've heard about this from a gentleman called Ink One from Twitch, and he uses this. This is his go-to pencil, and I like it because it's got a little bit of weight to it. Plus, it looks cool, and the thing I like as well is the fact it's got this little clip that pushes it back. Brilliant, love it. Okay, right. So I'm just going to change my glasses a second. because I'm doing really fine work, and these are fine, but they're not good for fine work. Got my little cue card. Oh, if it will stay, of course. There we go. Right, there we go. Here we go. Oop, I was worried about that, but I caught it, so that's good. Last thing I want to do is break this thing. Okay, so in fact, before I start, I need to get the other example up. I need it for the detail. I want to make sure I'm getting this incorporated into this, because I don't think it's quite there yet. I want to keep it up somewhere I can see it. So it'll be off screen, but will it be there? Okay. All right. Now see, this is the bit where I need to start making it look like the one that I drew originally. And this is where it gets really tricky, because I've got to try and add the extra lines in just to make sure I'm keeping the same shape of the character, the helmet and stuff like that. Because I want to keep that meanness about him. And the good thing is it's still pencil, so there's nothing, nothing fixed in stone just yet. So I'm just making some little adjustments as I go along. Only to say, just to kind of keep it to the same original piece I did here. Those little fine details. Now the one thing that I'm not going to do so much of, in the original there's a lot of hanging wires and things like that, and although obviously when Jazza drew the picture, that that was a cool thing to do. But I kind of feel like, for someone like this, he's not going to have dangling wires at the top of his head, unless there's a panel that's missing. Then maybe, but I just didn't want to have too many wires sticking out like in the original version of this, because it just felt, inside a computer that definitely happens. But a robot's not going to have these wires visible, in my opinion, anyway. Right, so this is where it's going to start looking like, hopefully, like the version I've done is on the mask here. Because this is the bit that's going to make the difference on this character. He's getting at least this part done, the face right. Okay. Right, slight error there. Actually, let's do this thingy. Just to make sure I'm getting this face exactly the way that I have designed it. Well, I say I designed it. Where I recrafted it is probably a better term, because Jazza designed it originally. I just added my own take on it. That feels better. This this left-hand side of the face, or right-hand side of the face, depending on which way you're looking. Well, right-hand side of the face, actually. It felt off, and redoing that little bit has actually put that back into the right place, I think. which is good. Which is what I was looking for. So I feel like I've now got that right. Okay, that's good. Feels more accurate now. Good, right? That's brilliant. Right, okay. These are sort of those neck muscly things, whatever you call them. You know the things. If you've ever seen Terminator, you'll know what bits I'm talking about. It's those two little sort of links on the sides of your neck, each side of your neck, that allow your head to turn and keeps it balanced. Yeah, I'm quite pleased that head's looking the way I want it to look now. If anything, I think probably need to make this part of the head wider though. I feel that's a little thin, so I'm just going to widen that a little bit. Get this thing out as well. What's good about this is it's a nice, you can get a nice thin edge done. Yeah, that feels more in line with this version in terms of just the shape. The only thing that isn't is the top of the head, but I'm not sure how I'm gonna fix that bit. Might have to just leave that. But much happier, much happier. Okay, so let's do. The inner part of his gas mask type thing, or his respirator. Okay. Well, so another good thing about these sort of pencils rather, is because it's the same thin line each time. It's not going to get thicker as it goes along. It's one set width. Whereas with standard pencils, although you have the hard, the soft, and everything else, the thickness of the pencil as it sort of starts to wear down, the thickness of the pencil tip will change and it will get slightly thicker and then you won't have that nice straight line that you're seeing right now that I'm doing. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something that just happens to be there, and you don't get that with mechanical pencils. It's one thickness, and when you want the next bit, you just simply just press the button and push it forwards, which is why I used it last. Because for me, this is the stage before the final inking in. And I say I'm just adding little subtle details, subtle changes that just makes this more of my piece rather than Jazza's. But you know, I will never take away his credit. He designed this character. It's not my character. I'm just redrawing a redrawing of something of it. He's a great character. I love the character. But I like there's one called Atlas. I like him more. So he will be one of the next ones I'm going to probably do after this one, because again, the picture Atlas, while it was generally okay, I felt it definitely could have been better. Now, a little bit of artistic license, because this is kind of a very blocky shoulder thing. But on this particular version, you can't see what it looks like. On the others, you can clearly see what it was, but this one you can't. There's a little code number, or model number, I should say. This is what's good about these sort of pencils. It shows things that you don't pick up on. And I've just seen an extra little detail I can add into that just to add a bit more solidness to his head. But, you know, see how it goes. Again, there's his code number. And this is what I always like to do, is when I'm doing, I don't know what you call them, but you know when you have pipes and each pipe has little segments, I always like to add that little bit of a groove in between each one. I feel it always adds an essence that it's not just a group of lines all joined together. This is kind of a technique I've picked up from H.R. Geiger to a degree, because although sometimes his artwork can be a little bit, yeah, there is something about his style I did notice. It's very mechanical, but he will say take a watch and repeat that same watch design over and over and over and over to create a mechanical looking object, and I thought it was a very clever way of doing it. And that's what I realise, is that with mechanical things you just you pick, say, a shape that you found or seen, and you just repeat it until it looks like it's outer-worldly. See, already the arm looks more intense rather than just being simple segments. It just looks a little bit more solid. Now it's just added a little bit there. It just felt a little bit off slightly. And these are little things I've been learning as well as I'm going along, where I'm making anatomical happy accidents. It's just refining it and going, okay, that arm's too thin. Let's make it a bit thicker. That waist is too short or too long. Let's shorten it. But that's how you learn. That's how you grow. You pick up these little things. Because even though I definitely feel like I've there's no question I've grown in my anatomy ability. Sometimes I still get things thinking, oh, I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there yet. And it's very easy to get very despondent. Don't know why that's on there again. And feel like, oh, why am I bothering? But as long as you're growing, as long as you're constantly getting better, you got to look, got to always go back and see where have you come from. If you've made an improvement from your previous drawing, don't worry about not getting it now, because you're getting there. You're getting better. As I showed you earlier on this evening, you look at the original version of this that I drew. The anatomy, particularly the legs, was well off, and even on the last one I did, the arm wasn't quite in the right place. But now it's starting to fit better. But in doing these pictures, I've kind of learned things, and even like with the head on the last one I did of this guy, the reason this head's cut the way it has now is because I've drawn the head in slightly different methods each time. And so the last one I did, it feels very, very more. Can't even find the word actually. The last one I did feels more intense and more well put together. And I can't really knock that. It's an improvement, and that's what you want. You want to always improve. So if you're making improvements, just be positive about it. Just accept that you made an improvement and keep working on it. Because I think the truth is, you're never really going to be completely satisfied with what you've done. You're never going to fully be like, oh, I've really done that right. You're going to be moments of joy where you're thinking, yeah, that looks pretty good. But I know for me, I will still look at something thinking, oh, I could have done that better, or that arm's slightly off. Most people won't even notice, to be fair. Yeah, the general public, unless they're particularly arty or art connoisseur, or even critiques, won't even notice half the time if there's something that's not quite gelled. They really won't, unless you point it out. So don't do that. Don't point it out. Unless you've actually improved, then you can maybe say, oh, well, if I look at this one was bad, but because of this, but now I've got it. Now I've improved. See, like this bit here, I've just added this little extra curvy bit just to give a bit more depth to the character. It's a shame he never made this into a comic or a cartoon, because I think this particular storyline that he did would probably go well to, into a comic book. That's what I personally think, anyway. So these little segments of the robot. So I'm in that concentration mode again. Sorry. Because I'm adding that fine detail. This is, you know, I have to really concentrate that a little bit more. But this is where this graph gear really comes into play, because I can really get that detail, which without sharpening pencils 20 billion times over, you can't quite get that with a normal pencil. So this is like really, so this is really good for pre-inking stage. Graph gears are brilliant for that. Hopefully you can still see the picture. Okay. I'll make the lighting a bit better. Okay. For example, something like this, coming up with a pose, I would probably, in the past, I'd spend probably about 6-7 hours in total getting the pose right in the past, because my anatomy skills were nowhere near what they should be. I only started this today. I only started this particular version today. And I'm at this stage already. And this is the second hour or whatever I'm doing it for. I think that says something, just to, you know, if you put effort in, and you take your time and you don't let you not getting it stop you, which is what I did in the past, you can achieve what you want. You can get there. You know, that just the fact that I can do that in that time frame instead of 8 hours like I did before. I think more importantly is getting it so that you're actually hitting the mark. I said I've still got a way to go. I'm still not fully there yet, but there is definite improvement. You see, this is where, again, this is where the graphic comes in. So add that little extra detail, which just makes these things a little bit more solid. So I keep sliding over that way. My apologies. Okay. Right, so again we've got this foot. I just need to add that little groove to give it a bit more depth. The thing is, when you have these little pipes and stuff like that, there is a mini groove, which is why I try to add it. I don't have to add it, I just think it looks better with it. And also to, the eye, people can see that in adding it, there's more effort being put in to get that detail in there, as opposed to just cheapening it and just doing a quick circle. Now, to be fair, if I was doing this for a comic, then obviously I would need to, unless I've got the time to really spend on it, doing the same detail over and over, I would obviously have to dumb down a lot of this detail. Because if I'm drawing this like 50, 60, 70, 100 times, you don't want to be doing this amount of detail 100 times over. You just don't. It would be a bit foolish. But that said, well, in my opinion anyway, but that said, there are artists out there that will spend that amount of time on a comic and it looks brilliant, and I do respect it. But you usually got a deadline. The point I'm making is you usually have some sort of deadline for getting that comic out. So if you put in this much detail in every single piece in a comic, it's going to take ages to get that comic done. But if if you and the company are happy for that to happen, that's great. Bearing in mind that you have to repeat all of this detail every single time, and drawing it once for me is great. But if I had to draw this detail every single time I drew this character in a comic strip, this amount, I'd get probably very fed up with it after a while. To give you an example, if you look at Transformers, the cartoon Transformers, while there is a lot of detail, there's not that much detail. A lot of the details miss. They don't put all of the detail in that comic, in that cartoon. Whereas in the movie, obviously the movie is different. They've got so much detail, and they spent that time doing it. But in the cartoons, if you actually go back and watch it, there's not that much detail. And I'm not talking about the CG ones. I'm talking the hand-drawn ones where they're having to physically draw the same character over and over and get in different poses. Now this bit here is the only exception where I don't put all the little lines in to thicken it out because it's just too small. But I could if I wanted to. But what I could do is when I do the Photoshop, do a segment in it and then perhaps do all that. But for this part, I'm not going to worry about it. Now I'm going to change the angle on this because I still feel the angle slightly off. One thing I've been learning is when you're drawing anything, that you've always got to think of perspective every time, whether it be a car, some form of vehicle, landscape, and even a people. I think especially when you're drawing people, it's easy to forget that you've got to keep perspective. And you'd be surprised how much perspective really makes a difference, even though perspective is a bit of from personal experience on it, can be a bit deceiving. Is what you think's in. I'll explain in a minute. It can be a bit deceiving, but perspective is really, really, really important when it comes to what angle you're looking at a piece of leg. So for example, I'm trying to keep in mind that this leg is going one direction, that going the other. So the bits that wrap around the leg will go in different directions depending on the leg. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I'm doing this. But the thing about perspective is, I mean, obviously, you know, there is the whole 2-point, 1-point, 2-point, 3-point perspective, which are all great, and they are correct. You know, they do exist. They're not completely not there. The problem is, though, is they're not. It's good to learn it and understand it, but you have to really, in my, as I said, I'm just speaking from my experience. Other people might think differently, but in my experience, you have to look at the perspective in that every aspect of the piece is going to be in a different perspective. You're not gonna, in any drawing, you're not gonna just have 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point. You're going to have hundreds of perspectives for each individual element. And you might think, well, why am I saying that? Or why do I think that? I'm saying that because you might, right, let's say you have a landscape. Let's say you've got your landscape. Your landscape might be in one-point perspective, but you'll have a spaceship flying into the distance on that perspective. Now, if that spaceship is going straight to the back in one direction towards the land, then it might be in 1-point perspective. But if that spaceship is coming in at a different angle or going a different direction, the spaceship perspective will completely change. It'll be in a different direction. So that 1-point perspective that you've just done will no longer work. So you have to figure out what the perspective of that ship is. And then if you've got another object that's going a different direction again, you've got to readjust the perspective for that one individual item. It doesn't, and again, I might be wrong with this, but this is just what I've discovered for myself is that you can't, if something's going in a different direction, you can't force it to go into that particular perspective unless you make sure that the object is drawn in that perspective range. Probably not making sense. I say I'm not drawing a perspective picture, so I can't really ask. And you know, don't take my word for any of this. Just, you know, it's something you got to find for yourself. But if I tried to force this in 1-point perspective, this particular character, it would look weird because everything would try to fit the same way. Right? Okay, I need to change. It seems like it's repeating the same tune. Right. You might still have some of the same tunes, but it's there. But if I try to force them into 1-point perspective, everything will look one way, and it would actually look weird. It would actually look weird because it doesn't quite follow that it's always that particular way. So you've got to take each object and give its own perspective for each of the objects that you're drawing. Because the audience might be looking at that piece from a different angle. Not necessarily the 1-point, 2-point, 3-point perspective you're thinking. They're looking at it from a different place. But if you're unsure about any, there are videos out there that go into detail and perspective, and I don't want to, you know, I'm not a teacher, and I'm still learning that for myself. So don't take my word for it. Just, you know, do your research, and have a look yourself and figure it out yourself. But that's just what I personally figured for myself. Now, although this isn't the original picture, I'm going to do the same splitting of lines again here, just because I think it will look fuller. There we go. There we go. Got some different tunes now. There we go. Right. Now I know he's got number 8 on his shoulder there, so I'm going to add that in. I just think having a little extra thing on his weapon, it just makes this look more threatening than it did when it just had the laser sword. And I'm going to give this laser sword a little bit more of an angle on it. So again, it just looks a little bit more vicious. Now, being very light with this, because I feel I don't want to make it look silly. Okay, I think that works. I just want to make sure this worked before I started doing refining on it. You see, here I can add wires. Here is fine to add little wires in there because they're more inside. Having wires going off the top of here just didn't fit right with me. All right, well, I think he is ready to be inked in. But before I do that, I'm going to scan these guys in. So give me just a few minutes to do that. So do the old BRB. All right, wait a second. Yeah. Oh, that's why I didn't do it. Silly boy. That's better. Yeah. Here we go. Right. Sorry about that, folks. Had to scan that in. So it's always good to keep where you're at, where you've got to in the actual piece. So now we're going to do the finer detail. Now, one of these is almost dead, and the other one isn't. Yeah. Find the other one. Here's my other number one. Number one, there we are. Okie dokes. In fact, let me just quickly do something before I go further. There we are. Thanks for sticking with me. If you do like this, and you want to see more of this, me doing this sort of art and also streams, just drop us a like, and click that little subscribe button so that you get included in any videos that I release or when I go live. And if you ring the bell, you'll get a little notification as well, just to sort of let you know either I'm going live or I've got a piece going on. And perhaps going forwards, there may be a time when I'll have a suggestion session, but we'll see how things go. But yeah. But do feel free to have comments in the below. Obviously, please try to keep them positive. Appreciate that I'm still growing in my skill level, so do keep your comments very. If you are going to say something constructive, by all means. But bearing in mind, I'm kind of still working through it anyway, so don't worry too much about that. But feel free to comment on things you want me to see me do going forwards and things like that. Anyway, let's get on with it. So let's start refining this a little bit more now. trying to get this so this light's not too. I want there to be light on it, but not. Don't want the light to get in the way of the piece. So you can see what I'm doing. That's better. Right, let's bring this in. In fact, let me bring this down a little bit now. I'm trying to make sure I keep that camera in shot where possible. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. So I've got in that quiet mode again. Do, 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 do. So another film I really want to see is actually the remake of Dumbo, the live action version, because I think that would be brilliant. It does look pretty good, and it's Tim Burton as well. You know, someone that they fired years ago, and now Tim Burton's doing Dumbo. Who would have ever thought? That Tim Burton would ever do such a movie. How things change, eh? Talking of that, I'm really glad that Disney have rehired James Gunn to do the next Guardians, which is amazing. I'm so pleased because we at least need the third and final installment. Really do. So I'm very happy that Disney have saw sense and gone, okay, all right, we'll let bygones be bygones and bring him back on board. It just shows you, though, even Disney, you know, as powerful as they are, even they sometimes have to accept when they make poor decisions. So yeah, the more I work on this face, the more I add detail, the better his face looks. And I do feel now it looks more in line with the original concept piece that I had, which was, let me just recap. That was it. This was the original. This is the original version I did once I refined it. So it's fitting more with that now, which is good, which is what I was looking for. So it's definitely coming along quite nicely. Let's get these wires in. In fact, let's do it this way. So it'll just look more filled. I will do a bit of a recap at the end of the stream once I've done it. Once I've done the sinking in. I'm not going to do the other artwork that I was thinking about doing tonight because I think this one's taken all of the stream, and I think if I do the other one now, I think it will take away from this one. So once I've done this piece, I will leave it for now. I might do it on Twitch tomorrow. So probably tomorrow's Twitch if you're on Twitch. And providing I don't have any internet issues, I will. What's the word I'm looking for? Wow, this light just. Okay. I'm going to get a diffuser or something for this light, because sometimes when the hand's not there, you can't see it very well. Okay. Right. Try that. So I'm just trying to get the lighting right. This lamp is great, but I do feel it's sometimes a bit too garish. I think that's about right. Okay. No, I haven't got enough. It's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, when I get to little details like this, that's when I get comfortable in it. Hey, maybe I don't need to talk all the time. I don't know. So you always say you just got to talk. But I wonder whether sometimes it's just better to just draw and let the artwork do the talking. That said, it's always good to have somebody at the end of the microphone. That's it. Now I know it's a few months away, but very soon I'm going to need to start working on my Halloween t-shirts for this year. Only because it takes a while to draw them and colour them in, and I'll make sure that they are ready to rock and roll when that time comes. So I know it's a bit of a way away, but it's something that I'm just aware of. And if I don't start now, it will come Halloween and I'm rushing to do them. And I've got quite a few designs I want to add this year. And then obviously I re-released last year's ones for anyone that is interested. Okay. I'm definitely feeling this guy more than I did the last one. The last one guy was version of this was good, but this one is so much better. Well, I don't think I'm going to put this one in the poster because it won't. This particular version won't fit in the poster. And when you see the poster I'm talking about, you'll have a better understanding of where I'm coming with. But the poster design, by the way, there is a video of me drawing. Is there a video of me drawing it? No, there isn't actually. There isn't a Rogue Star video actually. I tell a lie. But if you go to Newgrounds, newgrounds.com, under my, don't think I've got my name as Earth Drag. I think it's Earth Muck. Is my name on that one. But it is, if you look at some of our videos, you'll see connections to it, and it'll be linked in the thing below. But on my Newgrounds account, there is a poster size of this, and you can get to look at the design that I did for this one and the poster. So it's going to be something. I want the poster to be similar to that. Okay, that's slightly off there, but never mind. Might get away with it though, because Optimus Prime has a similar sort of shape. Blade. So I might get away with it. Oops. Trying to keep the camera in the right place so you can see what I'm doing. Just changing that slightly. Add a little bit of dimension on this. It's always good to add these little subtle touches just to make it more original and creative. Now I'll probably add some battle damage and stuff like that once I do the painting side of it. Now the painting side, I'm not sure when I'm going to be doing that part. So I've got quite a few projects on at the minute. And this was a nice distraction from all of that. I'm just trying to do this so I can see where the lines are and keep it relatively level. And so I'm just making some final adjustments as I go along, because there's elements where it might be marginally off, and I'll make sure that I'm keeping it, keeping it as a good flow. I wanted it because I was trying to do something different, and I need to keep it consistent. No, this music's very robotic music. I've been listening to a lot of this music actually when I've been working on this in the background. It's actually very motivational. I actually can't wait to colour this in actually, because I have some ideas of how I'm going to colour some of the different aspects of this character. This is always the trickiest part, is when you're doing an extra thin line that you don't go too far over. So what ends up happening is it looks weird. It looks weird and wrong. So I've made a little boob there. It's fine. Photoshop it out. Actually, I want to use a new program. Actually, there's a program called Affinity Photo that I really want to start using. I've bought it, but I haven't really fully trialed it out. So maybe when I do this character or one of the other characters that I've shown you this evening, I will try and use that program to colour these guys in. I think it'd be good practice. There's also another one I want to use a bit more as well, Sketchbook. I've used it a little bit, but not fully. I think because I've been doing a lot of traditional stuff, I haven't really, and as I mentioned before, a lot of commission work of late. I haven't really had the time to really spend learning the program, but now I've got my setup done, more or less ready. Hopefully, I can start looking at learning and adapting these programs into my system, into my artwork, I should say. Once I have coloured this guy in, though, I will do a stream, not a stream, a speed art video of this process, including the colouring bit. So when it comes to these fiddly bits, you have to kind of, I have to really fully concentrate. When it's the big long parts, it's not so bad, but it's these intricate, tiny little sections that if I go over, I have to watch don't go over the edge. There we go. Inking is the most rewarding and frustrating thing of all, because when something is inked in, it looks amazing, but the process sometimes can be really can be tedious. Can be, not always. I always enjoy the results of doing it, but it's just, The most fun I have is when I'm crafting, when I'm penciling. That's when I really enjoy it the best. So even here, I'm just trying to make sure that it works. All the lines are correct where they need to be. But I kind of messed it up a bit. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. It was just being a bit hard on myself. What I'll probably do after this is, once this stream is over, I'm going to watch Equalizer 2, which I haven't watched on Blu-ray yet. So I will definitely do that, I think. I saw it in the cinema. Brilliant film. Really good movie. And it's weird that it's the only one that Denzel's done a sequel to, because up till now he's never really done a sequel to any film. But I do hope that he does at least one more. I don't think he should drag it on. I don't think he drag it on more than 3. But I hope he just rounds it off with at least a trilogy. At least. Right, this guy's nearly inked. Or at least the initial stages. I won't do all the thick lines and stuff like that. I'll do that separately on a separate day off stream. But I will finish off the basic line work. Bodged it. I was trying to be too clever there. I think there was an element of trying to be quick. But yeah, I'll finish off the thicker lines off stream. And then if there's any further details I'll add. Again, I'll do that separately as well. And who knows, I might even record it so that at least we keep it. Which might not be a bad idea, actually. Just so you got the thicker lines on it. And it includes it into the video. Because there is something about physically seeing someone draw it. It's one thing having speed up when it's all digital, but I think it's quite nice when you actually see the actual artwork drawn by hand. Now I'm going to just adjust this slightly because it felt slightly off. It still feels off, but I just wanted to gel a bit more. It's because of that line. If it weren't for that, it'd be fine. Oh yeah, apparently Keanu Reeves is doing a new Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. So it'd be interesting to see what that's going to be like. Of all the movies not remakes, but all the sequels that have been done, quite surprised that they would actually do a Bill and Ted. Now, considering obviously they're both considerably older now, I wonder how they're going to manage that and how they're going to portray themselves. Well, all I can say to that is excellent. Uh-oh. I don't know if the stream's still going. Is it still going? Hello? Yes, it's still going. Just my Mac's being slow. Right, we nearly got done with this guy. And again, just adding final adjustments. Just so that it fits with the piece. All right. Well, I think I only leave one last thing to do, which is get the right size pen because I don't want to go too mad. Where's my number 3? Well, number 2 will do. Is sign it. And today in my country it's 24th of the 3rd, 19. Okay, so let's just recap what we've done with this guy. I'm not going for everything I did today, but just this particular fella. So let me get all the paperwork and such. All the bits and bobs and bits and bips and bobsips. Where's the Jazza thing? Right, so just to recap, make sure these are all in the right order. So, this was the cat. Excuse me. So this is the guy I was doing. This was the guy I was redrawing. A guy called 2EE, sorry, from the Rogue Star comics, the Rogue Star role-playing game from Draw with Jazza. So this is the guy that I've reimagined for the piece, and it was part of a competition piece in 2015. This is my initial drawing of this character, and as you can see, the anatomy was really not good. The top was okay, but the rest of it was just really off. And even on reflection, the head is slightly over to one side too much. But when you look at it from there, it doesn't look so bad. But it definitely wasn't the way it should be. This moved on to the redraw from this one, which what I liked about this is the detail on the face and the body. There was a lot more going on. There's a lot more detail. Even when you compare the two, there's more effort to try and get as much new detail in as possible, and it looks more refined and for the most part the pose is pretty good, but there's just aspects that weren't quite right. Then I moved on to redrawing the head, which I'm going to use. This is what I'm going to use for the actual piece, the poster, and I'm going to have his blade covering half of his face, so it's got a nice little glow on it. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. But the face is what really drove me to redrawing the whole thing. And then today we inked in this fella. So I definitely feel like it's a massive improvement. And I mean, if we put them, these two side by side, this one looks a bit Robocop-ish, to be fair. But that said, let me get them on screen so you can see them both. There we go. That said, I do feel that this one really feels more solid. The posture's better, the pose is better. I feel like the anatomy is fitting more correctly, and everything seems to be in place. You know, again, there's still, still work that I could do to get better. But on the whole, I am so pleased that this is my level of drawing from 2015 to 2019 in 4 years. This is where I've got in 4 years. If I have more time and perhaps more practice, I could get even further than that. But to go from that to this, I got to say I'm personally encouraged, and it's not something that I thought I could even achieve. So if there's anyone out there watching this video for the first time who, like me, has just been drawing for fun for years and years and years and never really believed in yourself, this is what you can achieve when you apply yourself to something, and I hope that even in some small way you can see inspiration from being this at this level to now being at this level in a space of 4 years. And you can tell because you can see I've signed this in 2015, and it's a huge difference. I'm so proud of this. So I just want to leave by saying thank you very much for watching. I do thank you for your time. Again, if you do like this and you want to see more of these sort of streams, more of my artwork, eventually at some stage, I hope that I'll be in a place where through conversation with the chat, we can start doing things where things can be suggested, and I'll draw based on that suggestion. I'll be fine doing that, but we're not at that point yet. But that's something that I'll hope to do. But if you do like it, do click the subscribe button down the bottom and like the video so that more people can join in the party, and ring that little bell so you get notifications when I go live or when I release a video. I'm currently releasing a video every 2 weeks at the moment. I know it's not as often as YouTube would like, but at the moment that's all I can manage at the minute. The next video will actually be a Star Trek game, which will be next Tuesday. But yeah, so do drop a like, do click the bell. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next stream, which will be on Twitch tomorrow, Saturday the 25th, all going well, at 4 o'clock. I'll be seeing you then. So until then, be seeing you. Bye bye.